than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line.
End of quote. Repeat the line.
For the last time, anything you put on that prompter, Burgundy will read.
Twitter has vowed to take legal action against Elon Musk after the Tesla CEO said he was pulling out of the $44 billion deal to buy the social media company.
My goodness, so much happened over the weekend. We literally can't get to all of it. Joe Biden's gaffe that shocked the world, and I'm sure you've seen already, happened right after we got off the air. Elon Musk pulled out of the Twitter deal. Sri Lanka just collapsed over the weekend. AOC makes fun of Brett Kavanaugh. Kamala was on Face the Nation. We'll get to that tomorrow. Too much stuff happened. We're going to catch you all up on everything that happened over the weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live, and it starts right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually their name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. On today, it is July 11th, 7/11. Get your free Slurpee. The year of our Lord 2022. Thanks so much for joining us here on Daily Caller Live. So much happened this weekend, just constant messages, ding, ding, ding. Big article in the New York Times about how Joe Biden is old. And again, not in Breitbart or Fox, the New York Times. That was on the heels of Joe Biden making a massive gap, which is ending the quote and repeating the line, which is making a massive gaffe, which is ending the quote and repeating the line, which is making a massive gaffe. Wait, did I just do the same thing? I'm just kidding. I don't have a teleprompter. You know, I'm going to play this clip. So I'm sure you've seen this already. If you paid attention to any of the news at all over the weekend, if you somehow were on any social media platform, which obviously you were because you're watching this now, you've seen this video clip and we're going to play it for you. And we've even slowed it down. But it's kind of the catalyst of a cascade of things that happened over the weekend regarding the president and his ability to cognitively respond to anything. Watch this clip. You've probably, again, already seen it, but here it is. Check it out. Also, if you haven't already, click the little emoji like button or the little angry button, maybe the little laugh. This is funny. You can click the little laugh button, give us a comment, click the little share button, just engage with the post in any way, shape, or form. It really, really does help us out, get to more people, and continue doing what we're doing each and every day. So watch this clip, and then we will get to this big, long New York Times piece about Joe Biden and his age, as well as some polling. Check this out.
It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line.
End of quote. Repeat the line.
All right, so that's the thing that everybody's seen. Joe Biden is reading a teleprompter. In the parentheses, he says, end of quote, repeat the line. And he reads that part. Now, I've used teleprompters before. It's pretty apparent and pretty evident what you should read and what you shouldn't read. Now, at the same time, while of course the cognition of the president is sliding and continuing to slide, which is unfortunate, I don't like seeing that happen, and I don't like reporting on it, but the fact that we have a president who's in that mental state is something that is worrisome to everyone. But while that's a thing in and of itself, who are these interns that are putting that on the teleprompter? If you know the guy has trouble thinking already, why would you tell him, hey, this is the end of the quote, and also repeat it? Just repeat it again. He doesn't know what he's going to say. He can't even think of it properly. He's just going to read the thing. Here's another, just after, as soon as that clip ended, here's what he said also, just after the repeat the line quote, didn't make it any better. Check this out.
Women are not without electoral and or political, or maybe precise, not and or political power.
Okay, so there's that. Now, I want to get to this big, long, again, so I try to bring on news articles or news sources that aren't going to specifically hammer my side of the aisle, whatever that side of the aisle is. If you're brand new to this, I've said it many times. The only two things I believe is the government is bad at doing things and therefore should do less things. Whatever side of the aisle that puts me on, go ahead and categorize me that way. But places like the Washington Post, the New York Times, and a bunch of your other lefty outlets generally think the government should do more things, which blows my mind, and I don't understand how you can come to that conclusion. Nevertheless, we often disagree. So, when something like this is put in the weekend section of the New York Times, Biden at 79 pushing the age limits for presidents, it is a little bit concerning. And I think this big piece obviously was in the works for a while, but couldn't be perfectly timed any better because of this. This is also from that same press conference, Joe Biden kind of getting lost, not necessarily misleading the line, just talking off the cuff and being confused. Watch this, and then we'll get into this New York Times piece from over the weekend.
And it's a homemade weapon. I've only seen a photograph of it. The Justice Department is going to be going in and giving me more detail later as they find out the detail. But the fact is that one thing did get my attention, that this is the first use of a weapon to murder someone in Japan. And I think we have thus far have 3,000, I won't hold me to the number, 688 between 3,000 and 4,000 cases. They won.
Yikes. Okay, so he made up some words there. The numbers. He tried to make a point. I think the point he was trying to make is this is the first gun death in Japan, publicly noted. We have this many gun deaths. The bottom line is he couldn't make the point effectively. Maybe it was an effective point, but he couldn't make it effectively. Thus leads us into this article from the New York Times. When President Biden leaves Tuesday for a 4-day swing through the Middle East, he will presumably be more rested than he would have been had he followed the original plan. Remember, Joe Biden was in Europe last week, 2 weeks ago? The trip to the Middle East was initially tacked on to another journey last month to Europe, which would have made for an arduous 10-day overseas trek until it became clear that Mr. Biden's team that such extended travel might be unnecessarily taxing on the 79-year-old president, or crazy, as one official put it. Bottom line is he went to Europe last week, and generally speaking, when presidents go on these big, long international tours, they're already over in Europe rather than fly the 10 hours back to D.C. or whatever it is. Just go to the Middle East from there and then handle your business, come back, and all that sort of stuff. But instead, they broke it up because, like what one official in the White House was saying, that would have been crazy. Aides have also cited political and diplomatic reasons to recognize the extra steps and yada, 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 yada. Biden insists that he plans on running for a second term. His age has increasingly become an uncomfortable issue for him, his team, and his party. Privately, his team tries to guard Mr. Biden on his weekend trips to Delaware as much as possible. He's generally a 5 or 5.5 day a week president, although he's called at any time, any day is if he's needed. He stays out of the public view at night and had taken part in fewer than half as many news conference interviews as his recent predecessors. This is all stuff that we already know pretty well. In a June survey by Harvard Center's American Political Studies and a Harris poll, 64% of voters believed that he was showing that he was too old to be president, including 60% of respondents 65 and older. So people who are 65 and older, if you're 65 and older watching this, let me know in the comment section. Do you think Joe Biden is too old to run for president? But two, what do you think of yourself? And I don't know. I actually don't know. If you're 75 years old and still sharp as you ever were or feel that way, maybe that's a thing. Clearly, though, not the case in his instance. He's done just 16 news conferences as predecessors before, less than half as many as Mr. Trump, Barack Obama, George Bush, George H.W. Bush, and Bill Clinton, according to one of the longtime scholars. Likewise, Mr. Biden has only given 38 interviews. Now, that number is quibblable to be quibbled with in and of itself. Remember, he goes on late night talk shows kind of often. I think he went on Corden's show recently and Jimmy Kimmel's show recently, but they count those as interviews. So late night comedians apparently count as interviews. Mr. Biden has given just 38 interviews, far fewer than Mr. Trump, 116, Mr. Obama, 198, the younger Mr. Bush, 71, Mr. Clinton, 75, and the older Mr. Bush, 86, at the time they were in their presidency. The bottom line is the New York Times, the lefty New York Times, is now also saying, yeah, dude, this guy's too old. So now not only is it conservatives, Republicans, the right side of the aisle saying, yeah, the guy's been too old. And we've been saying that for a long, long time. But now finally Democrats are catching up and being like, yeah, this is getting to be a little much. This is also from a new poll that I feel like is kind of important. Nearly 2/3 of Democrats responded they would rather see, this is from the Daily Caller, by the way, would rather see somebody else at the top of the ticket with responding to the economy, inflation, and President Biden's age as determines whether or not he should lead the party in 2024, according to a New York Times survey released on Monday. Biden fared particularly poor with younger voters. 94% of Democrats under the age of 30 say that they would prefer a different presidential nominee. Whoa. So there's that. Let me see if there's any of the comments that we can bring up on here. He will be 80 in November. Somebody's pointing that out. A lot of people very, 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 very mean on what they think Joe Biden should be doing. But nevertheless, his own side of the aisle is now hitting him for being old. I want to get to this story. This happened over the weekend. This is going to be a big deal, I think. Let me play the beginning clips of this Reuters piece that came out over the weekend. So bottom line, Elon Musk, I believe Friday afternoon, again, right after we got off doing this show, pulled out of the Twitter deal, or announced that he was pulling out of the Twitter deal, the $44 billion deal to buy Twitter and take it private. Elon Musk said he's pulling out. This is going to get really interesting, and it already has. Over the weekend, there was a lot of back and forth that happened between Elon Musk, between Twitter, between the Twitter board, and apparently now the legal department of Twitter. Check this out. This is from Reuters, and then we'll discuss the details. This is funny, by the way. Just so you know, we're going to get to Sri Lanka next because that's crazy and kind of sad. This is actually a funny story. If you haven't already, would really, really appreciate it if you hit the little like button or the little angry button, the laughy button. Give us a comment. Let us know what you think. The share button right over here, again, really, really helps us out to continue doing what we're doing each and every morning here on Daily Caller Live. So check this out. We'll discuss on the other side.
Twitter has vowed to take legal action against Elon Musk after the Tesla CEO said he was pulling out of the $44 billion deal to buy the social media company. Musk said Friday that he was terminating the deal because Twitter had breached multiple provisions of the merger agreement. In a filing, Musk's lawyers said Twitter had failed or refused to respond to multiple requests for information on fake or spam accounts on the platform.
So that's the biggest thing. So Elon Musk is citing, first things first, if you're on social media, if you're on Twitter right now, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is, you can scroll through comments. I bet I can scroll through some comments here and find a bot somewhere. Usually they're trying to coerce some of the viewers into DMing them to win $1 million from a Nigerian prince or something like that. I'm not going to go through and find one, but I'm sure there is one right there somewhere in our comment section. Elon Musk is saying, hey, Twitter says that only about 5% of their users are these bots, these non-real people that are tweeting random things that aren't, again, their computers or their fake accounts or something like that. Elon Musk is like, there's no way that it's only 5%. And because Twitter is refusing to disclose how many bots there actually are on the platform, Elon Musk says, I'm pulling out. Imagine this. You're buying a car. And you can see the car. It's a red car. You've always wanted a red car. It's whatever the car is, and then you say, "Hey, is there any problem with the engines?" And the car owner or the person selling it to you goes, "No, the engine's fine. Everything totally works." And then you say, "Okay, can you fire it up for me?" And they go, "We can't do that. We're not gonna do that for you. But you've agreed to buy it, so Go ahead and give me my money and I'll give you the car. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. How about we look under the hood, see the engine? We're not going to do that either. How about we've agreed to something, so you should buy it from me and give me my money and I will be on my way. That's effectively what Twitter's doing. They're not, according to Elon Musk, they are refusing to disclose any of the information necessary in order to close the actual deal. Now, here's what was interesting. Elon Musk announced he's pulling out of the deal on Friday. The chairman of the Twitter board, a guy by the name of Brett Taylor, tweeted almost immediately or later that night that the Twitter board is committed to closing the transaction on the price and terms agreed upon with Mr. Musk and plans to pursue legal action to enforce the merger agreement. We are confident we will prevail in the Delaware Court of Chancery, which is, again, comical. So essentially, Twitter is now saying, no, you told us you were going to buy it. We haven't disclosed all of the things that you've asked us to disclose, again, according to Elon Musk. But you told us you were going to buy it, and we're going to take you to court for breach of contract. Elon Musk, I didn't pull this up because it's formatted differently, tweeted out a meme last night because then there's another response. So he said he's pulling out of Twitter. Twitter board responded saying, no, you can't do this. And now Elon Musk is saying, they said I couldn't buy Twitter. They said I wouldn't. Then they wouldn't disclose bot information. So Elon Musk is saying they didn't disclose any of the information on the bots. Therefore, I'm not going to buy it. Now they want to force me to buy Twitter in court. Okay, that's fine. They're going to sue Elon Musk to try and close the deal. And now he's saying, because we're going to court, you're going to have to disclose the actual bot amount that you didn't disclose to me in the contract because I don't know why you didn't disclose it, but you didn't disclose it. But now you're going to have to disclose it in court to force me to buy your company. See how this is all crazy? It's all bananas. Effectively, Twitter's going to take him to court in Delaware, and in that court proceeding, Elon Musk is going to say, well, they didn't give me any of this information. The court's going to say, well, where's the information? And either Twitter is not going to give them the information, and therefore Elon Musk will win the lawsuit and be able to walk from the deal. Or two, they will give the information. It'll either be legit and Elon Musk will be forced to buy Twitter, which I don't think is likely at all, or the information will be completely wrong or under-exaggerated as it was in the Elon Musk reporting. So that's going to be a really, really, really interesting thing to see as it goes forward. Again, the Twitter board firing back on Elon Musk wanting to pull out of the deal. I want to get to this. This is interesting and I don't want to say indicative of what happens when you have more socialist rule. But what's going on in Sri Lanka is crazy. I've been aware of this story, and I'm sure you have for the last couple of weeks, just kind of bubbling up here and there of what the heck is happening in Sri Lanka. Over the weekend, the government officially collapsed. The president fled the country, and the people stormed the presidential palace. Again, in Sri Lanka, island nation off the coast of China? I don't know if that, I think it's pretty far away from China. Anyways, in India. Anyways, watch this video. This video is crazy. If you haven't seen it yet floating around the internet, it's dang, man. This is wild. Check this out from Sri Lanka. This is people storming into the presidential palace as the president fled the country. If you haven't already, would really, really appreciate it if you click the little like button or the little heart emoji or the angry emoji or the laughing emoji or the sad emoji, whatever emoji you feel is appropriate to your feeling at the moment. Click the little share button or give us a comment. What do you think about what's going on here, about President Biden, Elon Musk, Sri Lanka, any of that sort of stuff? It really, really does help us out in the Facebook algorithm to just keep continuing to churn out stuff. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, would really, really appreciate it. Anyways, watch this video of the people storming the presidential palace in Sri Lanka.
Victory! Victory! Here we go! No way we can stop it, man! That's it! That's Sri Lanka! Come on, Sri Lanka! There we go! End of the story! End
Okay, sorry, that video replayed twice. But basically, the people stormed the presidential palace after the president left. You know what? Let me get into this a little bit, and then we can watch some more of that video, because the video coming out of Sri Lanka is crazy. Sri Lanka's prime minister said late last month that the island nation's debt-laden economy had officially collapsed, and it had run out of money to pay for food and fuel. Short on cash to pay for imports such as necessities, it was already defaulting on its debt, and is seeking help from neighboring India and China and the International Monetary Fund. The prime minister, I'm not even going to attempt his name, her name, I don't even know, who took office in May, was emphasizing the monumental task he faced in turning around the economy headed towards rock bottom. On Saturday, both he and the president agreed to resign amid mounting pressure from protesters who stormed both their residences and set fire to one of them. Sri Lankans are skipping meals as they endure shortages and lining up for hours to buy scarce fuel. It's a harsh reality for a country whose economy had been growing rapidly up until very, very recently. The government of Sri Lanka, okay, so check this out. This is where, is the United States close to this? I wouldn't say very close at all. I think it's pretty far off. But I would say that pretending that what we have here in the United States is just always going to exist and for us to continue to take it for granted is not a good idea, because policies have actual effects, and the policies in Sri Lanka have had these sort of disastrous effects. The government owes $51 billion and is unable to pay interest payments on its loans, let alone put a dent in the amount borrowed. Tourism, an important engine of the economic growth, has sputtered because of the pandemic and concerns about safety after terrorist attacks in 2019. Its currency, check this out. This is crazy, and this is why people are rioting in the streets in Sri Lanka. Its currency has collapsed by 80%, making imports more expensive and worsening inflation that is already out of control, with food costs rising 57% according to official data. The result of the country hurling towards bankruptcy with hardly any money to import gasoline, milk, cooking gas, and toilet paper. Political corruption is also a problem. Here's where it gets interesting. See Venezuela and see, I don't know, maybe California. Not this bad to this extent, but just saying, if there was a state that maybe we could put together, I don't know, maybe California would be it. Political corruption is also a problem. Not only did it play a role in the country squandering its wealth, but it also complicates any fiscal rescue for Sri Lanka. A fellow policy and economist at the Center for Global Development in Washington said any assistance from the International Monetary Fund or World Bank should come with strict conditions to make sure it isn't mismanaged. Here's another problem. If the world decides to help Sri Lanka and give them money, who's to say that the people in power aren't just going to take that for themselves? President of Afghanistan, who, what was it, $4 billion, $400 million, some crazy amount of money that the president of Afghanistan said, all right, see ya, I'm out, and then just left with all of that money. In April 2020, the president suddenly banned the import of chemical fertilizers, the push for, and get this, does this sound familiar? And pushed for organic farming, which caught the farmers by surprise and decimated staple rice crops, driving prices even higher. The push for organic farming. Wonder if that sounds like any of the green policies that we're going through nowadays. The push for electric vehicles is driving fuel prices through the roof. It's probably not related at all. To save on forest exchange rates, imports of other items deemed to be luxuries were also banned. Meanwhile, the Ukraine war has also pushed food and oil prices higher. Inflation is nearing 40%, and food prices in May in Sri Lanka were up 60%. Oh my goodness. I'm going to play another clip of what's going on. This is inside the presidential palace and around the streets of Sri Lanka. Just watch this. This is nuts. Maybe we won't play the entire thing, but this is crazy what's going on there. Again, probably almost entirely because of government policies. Check this out. Bottom line is things are going wild in Sri Lanka. A lot of it, I think, probably, at least from all the articles I've read, has had to do with policy of the government, and it can turn a country on its head. So there's that. Coming back to domestic land, here is this clip that's kind of been interesting. So last week, Brett Kavanaugh, if you didn't hear this story, Politico reported an incident stating that Kavanaugh fled Morton's in D.C. on Wednesday night due to the presence of protesters. Protesters soon showed up out front, called the manager to tell him to kick Kavanaugh out of the restaurant, and later tweeted the justice was forced to exit through the rear of the restaurant, the outlet wrote. That's from Politico. Basically, Brett Kavanaugh was dining, had the audacity to eat out in public. Dumb. At a steakhouse, and protesters showed up and forced him to leave through the exit. That's not good. Regardless of your political stripes, if I saw Nancy Pelosi in a restaurant, I wouldn't say anything, and I don't think you should either. Have your arguments in the ideological space of the mind. I don't know if that's the best term for this, but make your arguments and points better. Don't harass people. If Maxine Waters was sitting across the restaurant from me, I'm not going to harass her. You shouldn't either. Don't do that. Political violence on any side is bad. But, I don't know, this is continuing to happen more and more as proponents of people on the left are doing this to people on the quote-unquote right. The worst thing, though, not the worst thing, but one of the things that came out of this was a tweet from AOC. AOC apparently thinks that some political violence, if they agree with her, is a good thing. I don't know if she actually believes that in her heart, but at least what Twitter makes it seem like she believes. AOC tweeted this and has received a ton of backlash for it. She tweeted, "Poor guy. He left before his souffle because he decided half the country should risk death if they have an ectopic pregnancy within the wrong state lines. It's all very unfair to him. The least they could do is let him eat cake." So first things first, right off the bat, AOC seems to be belittling the fact that protesters are hounding Supreme Court justices, which isn't a good thing regardless of what you think. Don't hound Supreme Court justices. If Ketanji Brown Jackson or Sonia Sotomayor or Alana Kagan are in a restaurant with you, don't yell at them there. Make your arguments in the public space and win in the intellectual battleground. That's how you win arguments. So not only is she belittling the political violence that has befell a lot of right-leaning SCOTUS justices, politicians, all of that sort of stuff, she's also just factually incorrect. Half the country should risk death if they have an ectopic pregnancy. We've said this so many times on this show. We've put out reels, tweets, Instagram videos, TikToks, all of this stuff. That's just not true. If you have an ectopic pregnancy, if you have a severe risk to the pregnancy that a mother has, they can get care for that. That's not a thing. The Planned Parenthood website itself said that ectopic pregnancies are not abortions. They're a completely different thing. Like, I don't know how I guess I don't understand how people like AOC are continuing. Does she not know? Like, is it ignorance, stupidity, or is it evil? I have several friends that will say it's evil. Maybe you in the comment section would say it's evil. But I can't figure out what's going on there with AOC. Again, obviously the main thing is you can't belittle political violence. Everybody should stand against it, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. And also, get your facts straight, dude. AOC. I want to end on this. We'll end on like a little happier note. This is from, I believe it was an Australian TV outlet over the weekend. I kind of am a little, can't decide on these sorts of things sometimes and whether or not we should play this. I am not a fan of the global community making fun of our leadership. I think there are things that I disagree with the president and people on certain sides of the aisle, the people that I just disagree with vehemently. But at the same time, I am a proponent of we're all Americans, and hey, people in Australia, how about you pound sand if you're going to make fun of the way we do things? But in this case, I thought this was funny enough to get it out to you folks. They put together a couple different clips of President Biden and his most recent gaffe of ending the quote and repeating the line. Put it to a very popular movie. Check this out. It's funny.
And cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line.
For the last time, anything you put on that prompter, Burgundy will read.
Yep, just like the legendary fictional news anchor from one of the funniest movies ever made, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, the current US president will read whatever he sees on the auto cue.
For the last time, anything you put on that prompter, he will read.
Arnold Q1.
It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line.
Ah! What in the name? No!
Oh, I'm in trouble.
So there's that. That's just is what it is. President Biden just making himself a target of us and of the international media, apparently. Again, I'm not a huge fan of people around the world making fun of the United States, because regardless of how much I disagree with President Biden, America's still a great country to live in, and I would rather live here than anywhere else in the world, so I don't really like other people from other countries making fun of him. But at the same time, sometimes it's just funny is just funny. So that's just, I don't know. There's nothing I can do. Tomorrow, we got a lot of stuff to get to. Kamala Harris went on Face the Nation and had another Kamala-ism of just saying words for the sake of saying words. There were protests in D.C. regarding abortions and quote-unquote reproductive rights that we'll get to. There's some hilarity on Twitter that I thought was really funny that I'd like to also get to. By the way, we haven't missed the Hunter Biden stuff. I'm just kind of waiting for that to unfold a little bit more to put some stuff out to you. If you're unaware of this, we'll get more into it tomorrow. A bunch of people, I believe on 4chan, hacked Hunter Biden's iPhone password, and now there's like 500 gigs of stuff that it's just going to come out. So there's that. San Francisco homelessness. We get a lot to get to tomorrow, and that's on top of anything else that happens today. I'm not sure if the White House is doing a press briefing. I can check right now. Maybe I won't. I thought the page was open. But if the White House does a press briefing, I'm sure that KJP will be on, you know what, they probably are, because they're leaving Tuesday night for the Middle East. So they'll probably do one of those, and we'll have to cover that too. Get a lot of stuff to cram into a short 30-minute slot. But anyways, thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, click the little like button, the little subscribe button, share button, or the little, I don't know, just engage with the post in any way, shape, or form. It really, really helps us out. Also, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in JOBOB. The running joke on this show is that the Chiron here is wrong. The Facebook @ is not correct. But if you type in JOBOB, you'll find me with my little picture of me doing something. And be able to follow me on Facebook there too. Let me see, on Twitter, Instagram, Gitter, all of those fun ones. So really appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. Lot to get to tomorrow. We will belabor over it for the rest of the day, and see you then. Same time. Different place. We're going to be in Phoenix tomorrow. Same time, though, in the studios in Arizona. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you then. God bless America.